obviously Canterbury and parts of the North Island depend on irrigation, but not everybody sees it as a good thing.
No, there was a recent comment that I heard on the radio. It was a Taranaki farmer commenting about it's time somebody got stuck into farmers in Canterbury who irrigate during hot weather or even windy weather, hot and windy weather. And it's a complete misnomer because he felt that everything that was being applied was evaporating. Well, that's a complete misnomer. It is a misconception. It's a wives' tale, and boy, you could even call it bunkum if you like. But there's been
well, let's call it bunkum.
Yeah, let's call it bunkum. Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of research done on this, and we know that the typical losses to evaporation are less than 3%. So if you're applying water even on a 25 or 26, 28, 30 degree day, typically the losses are less than 3%. And that research is relatively old in the sense that it dates back to the sort of mid to late 90s. But with modern sprinkler technology that we see on centre pivots and big linear irrigators, where we're producing larger droplet sizes and they're relatively close to the soil surface, so we're only 1.8 to 2 metres above the ground, the chances of any of that water actually being able to have the temperature raised to the point that it could evaporate are pretty far-fetched. That means you've got to try and take 11 or 12 degree water to the point that it can actually change from a liquid state to a gaseous state, and that's just highly unlikely. There isn't enough time and there isn't enough energy to turn it.
So it's bumpkin.
It is bumpkin, yeah. The only exception to that probably is when we see these high pressure guns, a single nozzle gun trying to throw water into a howling wind. And then what happens is that wind breaks up all your droplets into very, very fine particles. So then they are much more susceptible to some evaporation. But the losses to evaporation are really tiny. It is the wind blowing it off target, or the fact that we have non-uniform irrigation, so every area is not getting the same amount of water, that are the big losses in irrigation. And that's where the effort goes. With technology and the way farmers manage their systems and sort of when they do some irrigation or how they adjust their runs to make sure they get their water where they need it to be.
Now Ken Ring's making a name for himself again.
Oh yes, another radio interview. I've heard it actually several times on the radio talking about El Nino and that it's that it's weak. That's what all the talk is about. It's waning, it's nearly neutral, a whole lot of things about it. And in other words, it's sort of it's not really a big deal. Well, tell the farmers in parts of North Canterbury and southern eastern the Wairarapa and parts of South Canterbury, and to an extent Canterbury and North Otago as a whole at the moment, and Blenheim, that El Nino is not biting. I think they'll tell you that it is certainly biting. I mean,
and it's biting hard.
And it's biting very hard, yeah. So if you look at all the statistics, all the indicators of El Nino, they are very, very strong. I mean, sea temperatures, pressures, the Southern Oscillation Index, everything's showing that this is a very strong El Nino, and it is very similar to 97, 98. And farmers who are listening to this will remember in both the North Island and the South Island East Coast areas what 97, 98 was, and it was a very bad drought that lasted well into the autumn. And all the indications, if you listen to or read what they're saying from some of the Australian sites and from NIWA, this is going to not wane until we get into the autumn.
But you get some idiot who says that it's not. And of course the city dwellers go, well, what's all the fuss about?
That's right. There is a big fuss about this, and we've known for a long time this year that El Nino is coming. It is every month it is showing signs of strengthening, and it's doing nothing different right now.
And then you get a hailstorm.
And then we get a hailstorm. I mean, yep. Canterbury got hit quite badly. Parts of Canterbury got hit quite badly by hail on last Sunday, and we know there's a lot of damaged vining peas that are about a week out from being harvested. Not 100% sure whether those are going to be harvested or not. A lot of bruised pods, probably bruised peas underneath. We know there's wheat being knocked out of the heads and it's on the ground. We know winter barley's been knocked out of the heads and it's on the ground. Just how severe that is, you know, when it comes to those crops, you don't know until you put the header through them, really. But it's, you know, it's pretty disheartening. We've got to this point in a tough season when, you know, they've had to irrigate continuously to get them to that point. And you get, you know, maybe, I don't know what the losses will be, 10, 20, 30% knocked out of the heads, and it's on the ground.
And
Not fun.
I mean, there's no coming back from that. I mean,
Oh, no.
You're going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah, you can't. You know, the grain's immature. You can't go through them, vacuum it up off the ground or anything like that. It's history, you know. And the peas might be history too. They might have baleage value only.
Looking forward, it's just going to be basically battle down, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is going to be battled down. I mean, we are very strongly. I mean, everybody can see it. Doesn't matter whether you're a city dweller or whether you're a person in the country. We can see it. We are in this strong westerly, northwesterly, southwesterly pattern. And when we get those southwesters, they're getting driven by some pretty cold air from way down south, and we could get similar weather to Sunday again.
Tony, thank you very much indeed for your support, and have a Merry Christmas despite the weather.
And you too.
Thanks. In just a moment, we're going to meet one of the finalists from the Enterprising Women of the Year Awards.